August 30th, and it's the 15th day of my fast. I am getting the Roman nose, I think. I didn't think I had that bone structure, but it's coming out on the sides. And look a little thin, but I feel pretty good, aside from feeling definitely not getting out of bed in the morning when I wake up. There are still some things going on while I've been fasting, but I'm having to tolerate it, and hopefully until something can be done. And I would like to start up from where I left off yesterday, but I feel that there's a lot of important information. However, because I don't want to bore you and I'm making such long clips, on one hand I think it's probably good because it gives you an idea of consistency of my character or demeanor, which right now is very boring and kind of slow since I'm fasting. But at least it does give a little bit of, shows you hopefully that I'm not, raving lunatic. However, because of the length of some of the clips, I mean, everybody's working, people are busy, they have jobs and lives, and unlike me. And I realize that some of the stuff is too hard to go through, to watch every single day, and just it's tedious and long. So, all that aside, making it even longer, I just wanted to say that I did remember that about the book with the Abbey. I remember for certain that I did return it, and what the issue was is I had told them I knew that I had returned it, and I checked it in with the librarian there, and it went missing after I checked it in. So it was kind of strange because I felt like I was still very, very socially connected to the community and to my church. I just spent close to, I mean, not to brag, and my reward in heaven is gone because I've already stated that I did this thing, but I spent, a lot of my own money, probably $40,000, for a couple of years just doing community volunteer service and giving money to people buying the best, the nicest, most reasonable gifts I could for weddings, taking kids using the money to take kids in the neighborhood out for different treats or whatever, and talking with them, using my gas money to drive all over the place to pick them up and then take them to church. And I feel like I've done all of these things, and then it was this weird strain of wanting to make me sound like a criminal, because there was really nothing, I had no, I didn't have any kind of a bad history that a law firm might want to seize upon. There was nothing in my background that could discredit me at all. In fact, everything in my background really strongly supported me, and whatever my testimony might be. So, all of a sudden, with this, putting me into this quote-unquote investigation thing for nothing, it wasn't for the book, because that happened later. It was just for the idea that I did something wrong that I hadn't. And just while I'm working for them. So, two things started there, and it was, number one, someone trying to say that I was potentially mentally ill because they wanted to discredit me and say that nothing had ever happened to keep the faith with people, which I understand, now, but I didn't then. I was very shocked. And then the other thing that was done is to make me sound like a criminal, because I think they wanted this criminal string to go through my history. That was a very good way to discredit me in some way. So then I was issued 2 citations. No, sorry. Was it 1 or 2? I think it was 2. Yes, it was, I believe, no, it was, yeah, citations. And one was for, I put up flyers in the town. You know how people put up yard sale signs on telephone posts and they tack something up to the telephone post? Well, they were doing that in Mount Angel Abbey for yard sales and all kinds of things that people in the town were. So I made about 15 of them, 10 to 15, and I just said, any victim of clergy sex abuse, if you would like to have advocacy or contact me, I'm interested in your story. And then I left my phone number, and then I was referring people to a lawyer in law firms. And I tacked those up in the town. It made them livid. So all of a sudden I got a citation for it. And I was really shocked because I said, well, everyone else is putting up signs for yard sales, and in fact there were even signs up for the Catholic Church Bazaar. And why are you picking on me? So that was one. It had nothing to do with trespassing on Abbey property, because I never did anything that was on their property wrong, ever. And the second one was given to me while I was in the town, again, not on the monastery property. And it was for supposedly harassment by fax, because I had sent them, there was an ad in, I was really upset after everything that they'd done to me and finding out what they were doing. And so I sent a sarcastic, I shouldn't have. I look on it now, and certainly I could have restrained or refrained from sending that. However, it wasn't a crime, and it in no way rose to the level of getting a citation. It was something that prompted me. There was an ad in the newspaper for a cook for the Abbey. And so I sent a sarcastic fax with a sample menu of different items, hot cross buns, that sort of thing. They didn't like it, but it was not harassment. And yet, it was so infuriating to someone, and this is kind of like the one thing after all this patience that I had that I'd stored up for such a long time, it was months and months. And after finding out all these really horrible things they did to me, and crying, sobbing about well, anyway, my spirit came up a little bit, that fiery spirit, and it probably has nothing to do with being a redhead, but I'll blame it on that if I can. And so I sent a little sarcastic email with a sample menu, which was actually very funny. And some people didn't think it was funny. And they had this officer from Mount Angel Abbey, who was Catholic, who went to their church, give me a citation saying that, and he spit in my face. He didn't literally spit in my face, but it was like spittle. He was so mad and yelling at me. He said, I could take you to jail right now, but I have other things to do. So he threatened me, and he said, how long are you going to continue doing this? And he said, basically threatened me that if I did not quit protesting, which was in this public area, not on the property of the Abbey, he said, basically threatened me that if I didn't quit protesting, I was going to go to jail, and they were going to do worse to me. So my freedom of speech was being threatened, is what really was going on. And it had nothing to do with anything quote-unquote criminal or suspicious or harassing or slightly violent or whatever that I was doing. There was nothing strange about my behavior in any way. So I then had a lawyer who got rid of those two citations, just saying, the first one on accusing me of putting up those signs, I took photos. I then later took a bunch of photos with my camera of the Catholic Church Bazaar posters that were all over the town to prove that I was being treated unequally. So it was unequal enforcement of the law, which is, it is a It's something that the police are not supposed to do. They're supposed to enforce the law equally and evenly to all, and not pick on just one person. And if they do, it's called unequal enforcement of the law, which is what they were doing with me. And so I gathered some evidence of that. And a lawyer got rid of that one, just talked to them, and that was it. And then the other matter was just dropped for the harassment thing, because that was really, there was no law that they could have even used to give me a citation with. And it didn't rise to any level of having done anything wrong. So that was the start of, and I don't believe at first for a long time, because so many things were centered and surrounded and focused around the Catholic Church. And so many people, a lot of the Catholics, really, they had this horrible opinion of me. It was really hard because I was defamed by some people who just wanted all the Catholics to think I was terrible, horrible. And it was really hard because they didn't understand, and I didn't blame them because they didn't know what to think. There were other Catholics that were supportive because they'd had the same thing happen to them, because when they tried to go to their church, even as Catholic members, over something wrong that happened, they were treated the same way. And in fact, some of them have been stopped and harassed or intimidated from bringing their complaints forward, driven to drink, driven to criminal acts, anything to discredit those persons from coming forward about any kind of abuse or exploitation or whatever of that nature.